All right. Everybody's good. Everybody's here. Wonderful. Wonderful. So
Yeah.
welcome. Yeah, well, I hear some enthusiasm. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for being here and welcome um, all of you to our second day of this virtual event week organized by HRC International. I am Matthew Mioch. I will be the moderator for today, and we are extremely privileged to technically welcome also two ambassadors from the hospitality industry right in the US, in the exact place of New Orleans, that we will introduce a bit later on. But first of all, thank you for all being here, and let's go through a fantastic session and sharing all of us the world of hospitality. So, can you move on to the next slide, please? Yes, here we go. I think every good meeting is about maintaining a good agenda. So here is a look at the agenda of today, where in no time, our managing director will be opening the session. And then, as you can see, we will be moving on to a presentation across the US experience about our J1 visa programs, and obviously with a lot of Q&A at the end of the presentation, followed by interviews with selected applicants. And obviously, without further ado, I would like to leave Walter de Graaf, our managing director at HRC International, to open this second day session. And thank you, Walter, for your good words. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mathieu. So first of all, everybody, welcome to our second day. Yesterday was already a great day, and we're looking forward to have an even better one today. So thank you for that. Also, of course, would like to thank our guests and from Hyatt Regency in New Orleans. Thank you for joining us at this session. And of course, I'd love to thank the team at HRC that has put all of this together. So thank you for that as well. So real quickly, I'm actually an old one of the first people that got placed by HRC 30 years ago in the United States for the Olympic Games in 1996. And back then, HRC was a very small company. It was a few friends that thought it was a great idea to help people that were graduating, to help graduates with a placement in the US. And back then, I did get placed. I got placed in Atlanta, and that's how my career started. It was a fantastic experience. I ended up staying there for 18 months, had great opportunities, went through a fantastic program, and it not only just kick-started my career around the world, which spans from the US to New Zealand, Australia, and Asia, now back here in Maastricht after more than 26 years abroad. But it also actually became my personal life. My now wife was also through HRC got placed in Atlanta. I met her there, and we got married. We got a couple of beautiful children, and traveled the world together. So I can honestly say that HRC International definitely had a big impact on my life, and I started a few months ago here with this wonderful team that we have, and I can tell you it's a fantastic program. So thank you so much for joining us today. I really hope that we can kind of do the same for you as that was what was done for me. So 30 years ago. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the session, and I'm sure the team will take care of you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Walter. That's very kind, and yeah, indeed, very inspiring. I mean, your journey in hospitality is remarkable, and I think we are here to also expose all the new talents, to embark in such, long-lasting, hospitality journey across the world, starting with the US. So the idea is technically as well to explain a little bit more of HRC International. I mean, you've been one of the first candidates, to join the program back in 1995. So if you can move on to the next slide, please. HRC International has 30 years of experience of assisting over than 8,000 young professionals around the world, which is fairly remarkable, and meaning that we at International, why we obviously go through hospitality business is because we are also all hospitality professional, international ones. Each of us within the team have tremendous experience across the world, across the business as well. So something that we not only talk about, but we walk the talk. So we've been there and we understand how demanding and how passionate you have to be part of hospitality. Our force and dedication to diversity is also linked to our international presence around the world. We do have our main offices in the Netherlands, as well the United States. We do also have dear colleagues around the world, such as in Africa, in Kenya, France, for myself, as you could picture, and get, from my accent, Mexico, Indonesia, and Argentina. So that shows also this very important pillar to diversity, which is also linked to cultural exchange programs. Diversity is really key, and we try as much as we can to embrace this very important pillar to hospitality. And again, vacancies online, we do have, and we're not just an agency, we also extend fantastic opportunities across, the US, and you can definitely see all those vacancies presented online on our website. HRC International operate, as I said before, only about hospitality. So we cover cultural exchange programs, J1 visa for international 4-star and 5-star hotel chains across the US. So this is really only what we do. And we technically extend J1 visa programs based on 3 important divisions, which are part of our business, which are the culinary aspect, the food and beverage, and the rooms division, which are the 3 main pillars and components of each hotels within the business. Next slide, please. Again. Yeah, thank you so much. Why HRC? So, well, very important, I would say. We are not only just an agency. We are a business that represents a lot of career consultants, which are fully dedicated to extend the best experience as possible to all the candidates that we welcome in our programs. So that's very important, and each candidates will get their dedicated career consultant to take them through the journey until they arrive in the US, and also during the time when they are in the US, there will be always someone there for you. And that's, I think, also the essential aspect of hospitality, is always being there, for you at the time when it's needed. There will be, in terms of our services, no upfront fee, because we believe that starting your journey internationally, there shouldn't be any, I would say, economical, I would say, constraint, to make you dream about your next career step. So there will be free fees, but until you are accepted by an employer, you won't be, charged of any fees, upfront. Finding a dream training, so it's something that we guarantee, or at least we will aim to extend to each of you, finding a dream training with a dream employer. That's very important, because you will need to be, during that training, highly supported by the employer as a tutor, as a mentor, and as a coach. Efficient J1 visa process is something also which is very important at HRC because beyond our exceptional employers that we are dealing with across the US, we are also our own designated visa sponsor, meaning that we are and we will be sponsoring your visa for your cultural exchange program in the US. Further on, as I said, very important for us. The onboarding and also your time in the US is very important to us. So you will be linked also to many others applicants and many other J1s in the US, which will make obviously a network, almost like an alumni family, where all of you can be in touch during your stay and hopefully beyond your stay in the US. Full support services and insurance, that's also very important to our services. We make sure that you are fully supported during your time in the US with the proper health insurance, because at the end of the day, your well-being is very, very important to us. Let's not forget, our priority is your development, well-being before profit. So this is really what actually animates us on daily basis. Next slide, please. So what do you need, or what actually takes to go to the US and for us to help you in taking on your next career journey? You will need first to be qualified, meaning that there is some criterias. The main one being holding or actually on the way to hold a degree within the hospitality industry, having minimum 6 months of recent and relevant hospitality experience, as I said, either from culinary, rooms, or food and beverage, being motivated, enthusiastic, and professional attitude. That's only what we expect, but I guess if you are today attending this presentation, is that you already are motivated and animated by those values, which are very important for hospitality as well. You need also at the end to have a good, or at least even better, a fluent English skill level. I think this is very important, especially when you are in front of house and interacting with guests. English must be on a certain level, so at least you can respond to them. And beyond that, having a good level of English to have a better integration in your new destination as the US. All right. So I have enough talked about HRC. I think it's about very important now to um, have a presentation of our dear host employer and guest today, Hyatt Regency in New Orleans. And I would like to welcome one of the executive today present during the presentation to take the mic, as we say, and presenting this gorgeous property, part of Hyatt, a group that I really love, and also within a destination which is the New Orleans, and absolutely fantastic destination, full of history, full of culture, full of music. We had the pleasure to listen a bit of jazz music at the beginning, which is obviously the roots of a destination as the New Orleans. So I don't know if James or Ryan or Maggie or anyone would like to take the lead, but the floor is yours.
Sure, I can take the mic. I'm James, the director of food and beverage here at the hotel. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today about the Hyatt Regency New Orleans and what we have to offer. But our hotel has been a staple in this city for 50 years. We're celebrating our 50th anniversary this year. And for the last since 2011. We reopened after being closed for 5 years from Hurricane Katrina, and we've really embraced being a pillar again in the community. We're 1,200 rooms, guest rooms, 200,000 square feet of banquet space. We're considered a convention hotel. 8 different restaurants and lounges available throughout the hotel. So it really is a focal point in the city. We do a lot of local social events here, but we also do a lot of conventions within the hotel. So it's a very high energy, high paced hotel environment to work in. And there's quite a few different things that you can learn as far as working here in this hotel. So, we're right behind the Superdome, which you can see in the screen here. So that's where the Saints play, and a lot of other special events go on there. So we see a lot of business from that as well. As I said, 1,200 guest rooms, or 1,193 to be exact. But we, host a lot of different types of conferences and groups in house, that really showcases what we can do in this hotel, but also New Orleans as a city of hospitality. So we're one of what we feel the cornerstone of the entertainment district in the city, to really showcase what we can do. As I said, dining options, culinary is a staple in New Orleans. With over 1,500 restaurants, you're always thinking at breakfast what you're going to have for lunch, and at lunch what you're going to have for dinner, and dinner what you're going to have for breakfast. So that's kind of the routine here in New Orleans. But quite a few different restaurants available in the hotel, whether it's Vitascope or upscale sports bar, 8 Block Bar and Kitchen, which is our buffet. Restaurant 601 Delivery, which is kind of our internal Uber Eats, featuring 8 virtual kitchens that we can provide food from. Landy Exchange is our gift shop, Bywater Pool Deck, and of course Starbucks is a main feature in the hotel as well. We're centrally located, for lack of better words. We're right off the streetcar line that can take you down to Canal Street or to the river, far enough away from Bourbon Street so that groups don't lose their people to the fun of Bourbon Street, but really in the mix of everything as far as the city goes. It's a very walkable city, so it doesn't take much to get from point A to point B within 10 minutes or so. So, we just recently, probably less than 10 years ago, opened the new international airport, which has done wonders for the city. So it really helps drive that business as well from a city standpoint. Hyatt, of course, has our loyalty program, which we continue to drive within the hotel, and the world for that matter, as far as we're not as big of a chain as Marriott or Hilton, but we do have our focus on our loyalty program to bring our folks back. We care for them so they can be their best. So that's important from our standpoint to make sure they return and be loyal to us. So.
Yeah, and just touching base on that loyalty program, if you can go back real quick. On that loyalty program, we are the fastest growing loyalty program out of all the major hotel chains. And we are the fastest growing international on expanding the amount of keys that we have out of all of the hotel chains. So our growth year over year, percentage wise, is the largest amongst all the hotel chains. So yes, James did speak to that Hilton, that Marriott idea, but it's exciting watching how Hyatt is really battling outside of their weight class. And this loyalty program is by far the best one when you compare the nuts and bolts of all the other ones. Yeah. You want to talk about care, James?
Go for it.
All right. Yeah. No. Care. Our purpose at Hyatt is we care for people so they can be their best. And that when they say it is at the heart of everything we do, that is truly the cornerstone of everything that Hyatt really represents. Whether it be for the planet, what we're doing, we just recently completed some service activities that we had this year in celebration of our 50th anniversary. We're actually doing 50 days of service across the entire hotel, trying to just better the community on 50 different individual days that we are focusing on this year. We also have caring for people, why everyone's here. Our Rise High program is going to look for people and focus on the development through Hyatt's DE&I strategy to really drive progression throughout the company. And also responsible business. So you have to be a responsible business and going to continue to maintain that. Green initiatives, what you see right there are actually, that is right outside of my office right now. Those are hydration stations that we have to go with the commitment to reducing those single-use plastics. We have these located across the entirety of the hotel. We've changed the way our water is utilized in the guest rooms, what our lighting is in the hotel. And also at our hotel, we utilize the large format dispensers. Those are the ones that you have the ability to reuse and refill to shrink the amount of single use items throughout the guest experience. And that gives us a great opportunity to give back and know that we are continuing to maintain a product for the years to come.
I can speak to this one if you want.
Please.
I'm Nick. I'm the assistant director of HR, and I won't interject too much, but I really want to talk about Hyatt's commitment to inclusion, and diversity is such a big part of that. And we have these resource groups that we love to champion and offer for anyone to join, whether it's one that you connect with personally as it's your background or you identify as, or if it's someone that you're just an ally of, because it's, obviously open to all. But all of these groups get together throughout the year and they do events where they recognize and celebrate the backgrounds of the actual committees, but they also go do fun things where we go out into the community and we join celebrations or do things internally. Some of these are Hyatt Latino, Women at Hyatt, Hyatt Veterans, High Pride for LGBTQ, Hyatt Black, and Hyatt Thrive. And we don't actually require that we stop here. If there's another committee or group or resource group that we can celebrate even more diversity, we are always more than happy to keep adding. We just want to be a place for anyone to be able to land and create even more community. But I think this really goes with Hyatt's purpose of we care for people so they can be their best. That is our purpose for our colleagues and our employees, you guys, especially if you were to join our program, and also just for the community, as you saw with Hyatt Cares.
Nick, why don't you take this one?
Sure. We're also very proud to be New Orleans City Business Best Places to Work, I believe 11 years running now. That's how much our colleagues respond well to the survey. It is anonymous and sent out to all of the employees every year, and we consistently win that award in the large employer category, which is really impressive when you have as many employees as we do. Cvent, number 23, Meeting Hotel North America, number 1 Meeting Hotel in New Orleans. So we consistently also garner that award. We, as we mentioned, see a lot of convention near business. So it is a fast-paced hotel, but we're used to it and we do it really well. We're very proud of the product we put out. And then you just see all these other awards. I don't want to belabor to go through all of them, but this is just a portion of what we're acknowledged with throughout the year. We like to celebrate the wins with all of you, and every time we get one of these recognitions, we definitely pass it on to you and thank you for all the hard work.
Excellent. Wonderful. Thank you so much for this very insightful sharing, and even more, as I mentioned prior, the diversity, which is also something very important to us. And we are glad that we are partnering with you because this is a very important pillar of diversity and inclusion, as you mentioned. Very, very, very important. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Very much inclusion is one of our values, so we definitely hold to that very strongly.
Absolutely. Thank you. No, I really appreciate it. And but even more with all our candidates coming from around the world, each of them, have to feel, to be welcomed, like if they were home, and that's really, really important. Thank you for sharing. And now we are slightly moving to the talk session. I hope James and Ryan, you are ready for it. I will bombard you with some good questions, hopefully. But before that, if you can move to the next step, thank you. I'd like to leave you the floor to also even based on that sneak peek of your career and development, across the years, to say a bit more about yourself. I think we're talking about people, and you as future managers and leaders of our J1 program, students and candidates. Yeah, please tell some good words about yourself, and yeah, I think it's important to share that.
Sure. Well, as you can see, I've been in food and beverage for quite a few years, 34 of those being with Hyatt. And, as I like to say, I drank the Kool-Aid a while ago with Hyatt. And some of that is simply because, it's a good company to work for. They look after their associates, and they help guide and teach and coach individuals to grow within the company, right? It's much easier to grow somebody from within versus bringing somebody from outside, because you never know, what that individual is going to bring to the floor. So, I've had the ability to move across the country, 8 different cities with Hyatt, been part of quite a few different special events through Hyatt, whether it's Super Bowls or whether it's Final Four, or just unique experiences within each hotel I've been at. So, it's a fun business to be in, even though you do the same thing every single day. It's different because, especially in food and beverage, you don't know what you're going to get, put your hands into each day. You could have a group on their own for 600 people and the restaurants get hit today, or tomorrow they could all be in banquets doing an elaborate dinner for their award attendees, or, we could go off premise and do events for 8,000 people. So it's truly a fun career to be in. And I don't know what I would do if I wasn't in it. So but it's been a fun journey so far, and I want to continue moving forward. So, in New Orleans itself, I've been here for 14 years. Never thought I'd be here this long. Usually it's 3 or 4 years in a city, but I tell you what, time flies faster in New Orleans than anywhere else. And there's always something going on in this city, whether it's festivals or whether it's just business in the hotel, and it just keeps it exciting every single day. So
exciting. Well, thank you so much, James. And Ryan, would you be so kind also to present a bit more about yourself?
Of course. You first and foremost, any attendee that's here, congratulations. Like, this is an exciting time for you. Why this is so passionate for myself. My first job with Hyatt Hotels was as an intern on the overnight shift, and I moved tables and chairs, and that was my first job focusing, and I wanted to be an expert table and chair mover in the banquet space. You have the opportunity really to learn and to grow and to continue that process, and that is something that I know I took full advantage of. My time has taken me. I'm from a small town in the middle of the United States. It says Kansas City, but it's even smaller than that. You haven't heard of it, but my journey has taken me to 8 different cities in 2 different countries. The last place I was at, where I was living on the beach in Nassau, Bahamas, still working with the same company as the director of rooms at Grand Hyatt Baha Mar. And so it's why I'm so passionate about this and why this is so exciting is I started as an intern. I started with this company. I started with the ability thinking, I think I want to get into this, and I might want to just do a little bit more each time with that next role. And it's taken me from Florida all across the United States, 2 different countries. I started in food and beverage. Now I work in rooms, and thank God, because James is much better at food and beverage than I am, so I know this. But it is absolutely, when James said it is an exciting experience, it is beyond exciting. You have the ability to turn this into a career. And I was curious. I still don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up. I've been with the company for about 20 years now, and once I figure out when I grow up what I'm going to do, so that if that's the mentality that you want to work, I'm very excited for each and every one of you, because this is your time to shine, and this is a great opportunity that you've jumped into. And I know I am the product of an intern working for Hyatt Hotels, and 20 years later, I'm still walking into the doors at Hyatt Hotels, knowing that this is something that makes me click for sure.
Impressive. Thank you so much. And from what you say, I mean, I really appreciate, that from both of you when you explain your progression with Hyatt and so on, because at the end, as we say, even when you hike, in mountains, and so on, it's not about reaching, the top. It's about the journey, and enjoying that journey. And really, we can feel, from your good words, that yeah, the journey is on, has already some length, and so on, but still enjoying, the journey. So thank you for sharing this positive vibe about hospitality. So which will take us to the part one of our questioning around career journey and hospitality industry. The first question being, I don't know, addressed maybe to James or whoever wants to reply, but
Sure.
can you take us back to how it all started for you in the hospitality industry? I think you shared it, both of you in your presentation, and we can appreciate that it started some time and some years ago, and so on. But it all started technically, I guess, for both of you as an intern, I guess. Yeah.
Actually, for me, it was is a family restaurant. Parents had a family restaurant. So, as a young kid, you kind of do the odd jobs around the restaurant and wash dishes and everything. And as I
Yeah.
grew, I was able to expand into the kitchen to do more of the prep work and then getting on the grill and cooking the burgers or whatever the case may be, right? So, during that time frame though, and going through high school and college, really had that urge to go into hotels, right? Had the ability to see some hotels and it just looked fun and interesting. Finally, when I graduated from college with a degree in business, still wanted to go into hotels. I was able to get into a smaller company through a family friend and spent time with that company for about 5 years in a number of different hotels as well.
Mm, mm,
And it kind of peaked in that company. I didn't have a lot of room to grow because it wasn't as big as some of the others. And finally was able to get in with Hyatt in Pittsburgh and started as an exec steward. Had no idea what an exec steward does, but I said, sure, why not? And I started my career in the back of the house in Hyatt, and I think that's probably the best way to do it. Sometimes is because you learn um, how everything works from the back end, right? And appreciate what some of those departments do that maybe don't get front of the house often. And that's kind of where the career started with Hyatt. And after, like I said before, 2 or 3 years, I was able to grow into a next position in Tampa, and then Atlanta, back to Pittsburgh, San Antonio, Dearborn, Michigan, Denver, and then here. So, it really opens your eyes of where you can go and what you can do, based on the energy and based on what you put into it as well. I wanted to continue to grow, and they allowed me to continue to grow, and I was in the right place at the right time sometimes. But it really, like we said, is a fun industry to be in, fun position to be in. But you never know where you'll go based on where you're at currently and what your desires are really.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and across, this fantastic experience that both of you, Ryan, James, are telling us, and so on, which will lead, to my second question. If you compare then and now, what are actually the biggest changes you have seen in the guest expectation for the stay experience? So evolution, I mean, you have developed yourself and the industry ultimately through innovation and so on, and time change as well. So can you share maybe some examples or at least some stories, about what you see differences in guest expectations those days?
Yeah, I'd say some of the biggest changes right now from where I started, and I'm sure James would agree, is it's a right now industry. It is a right now culture, and it is a right now everything is at the touch of my finger. And I have the ability to have that power of a guest to know I can make a reservation right now and I can push a button and I can get exactly what I want and how I want it.
Yeah.
When I started, you were still calling into essential reservations. That was common, or you were doing mailers, and that was a common thing. But understanding that we are now around people that have the Amazons of the world and the benefits of having, I want something now, I want it now and now. And so the difference is now, I believe, is within the industry, we have to focus and spend so much more time and energy in anticipating what that guest is going to want, what that guest is going to need, and how we can deliver on that expectation. Because what we're all aware of is there's another hotel bed down the street that has a white sheet on it, has a bed on it, and is going to have a person standing at the front desk willing to check it in. And I think even now, even more than ever, it's how are you distinguishing yourself to build your brand of a Hyatt Regency New Orleans or whichever hotel you're working at and be a representative of that hotel. So you are creating that memorable interaction with the guest so they know that they are going to want to come back and that is the proper place that they want to sleep in or be in whenever they're visiting that city. It is very much a right now and they are ready to tell you. And if you don't deliver on that expectation, they will pull out their phone and they will tell you exactly what you did not do correctly. And
Exactly.
and guess what? 1,000 people can read that in 2 seconds. So the ability to deliver on the expectations has been elevated so much more over the past 3, 5, 10, 15 years that it is
Wow.
one that we have to be conscious of.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
Yeah,
which, sorry, yeah, please, by all means.
no, I was just gonna say, obviously, when I started, we didn't have plastic keys. It was actually a real hard key. We didn't
Yeah.
have social media. We didn't have cell phones, right? So, you
Yeah.
had two sources to understand the quality of a place and or a hotel, and that was AAA or Forbes, right? Nowadays with social media, it's you can go anywhere to find out instantly if that hotel is trending well or if there's issues there, and it's all about again, it's magnified by the social media component of it, and so much competition digitally that you got to be your best to outshine the others.
Oh, no, absolutely, for sure. And when we think about all this evolution that obviously is within that time and the experience that we all hospitality professional try to extend to our guests around us, for you, what would be to you from your perspective, what exactly defines a luxury hospitality experience today?
Well, I think the basic fundamentals need to be there, right? Personable welcome at the front desk, a clean room when they get into the room, things are working correctly. I think where luxury comes into play is when you can really create that experience for the guest, right? You can anticipate their needs and make sure things are where they need to be when they need to be. But it's all about the service. It's really about the associates and what they can do to make that connection and really wow the guests and make them at the end of their stay say, you know what, I'm coming back. Let me make that reservation now. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I think you're right. I mean, James and I, we didn't talk about these questions prior, but we're going through our notes. We're on the same page. It is one of those, and he's talking about that wow moment.
Yeah.
A lot of times people are going to get stuck in the idea of the wow moment as this grand gesture for luxury.
Yeah.
And it can be the smallest, simple, meaningful gesture that is just going to be one that you're going to leave it and saying, wow, I feel cared for. I'm going to come back so I can get this feeling again. And that is going to be the difference of what are you doing in the interaction and hospitality to create that experience when the guest leaves and saying, oh my gosh, that small little thing was great for me. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's as you say, it's about the caring and the attention, regardless, at what level you take it, which will define, luxury, because we know luxury and the perception of luxury can be very different to a person to another, But I totally, agree on your saying, absolutely. And talking a bit more, you personally, can you tell us a bit more about a specific moment or an important milestone in your career that define or at least shows that you are at the right place today?
I think it was during the pandemic. The pandemic was one that obviously everyone had different experiences. And for myself, I was working at a hotel in Florida, and there was we were light on staff, and I realized I had done so many. I'd worked in room service, I had worked in banquets, I had worked in housekeeping, I had worked at the front desk, and I was the director overseeing the experience, and I was tasked with a mission to find a way to serve room service for 1,700 people,
Oh boy.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 6 straight months while I was servicing the guest rooms uh through housekeeping, as we had an entire hotel. It was a 1,000 room hotel, and the military bought it out for quarantine for 2 weeks prior to reporting to basic training. And it was one of those times where I had gone through the dynamics and the logistics to the point of even working with chef on, do we need to make our own bread, or are we purchasing bread so we know we can find the exact amount of revenue that's going to maximize this opportunity?
Hmm.
And in that moment, I learned a couple things. One was, oh my gosh, working in room service, working in banquets, working at the front desk, working in housekeeping as an entry level at my first job, that got me so prepared to think through the process.
Yeah.
And then two, in my time and experience as that director, understanding that I don't know everything, but I know I can ask the right question to the right person and rely on that person, because there was myself and 4 other people that planned every single minute for a 2 week length of stay for these attendees that kept repeating. And it was one of those, I'm like, oh my gosh, like there's been so much that I've had the ability to learn, and now I can apply, to a point that it was, we ended up finding an even more creative way to hire our servers and to hire our front of house staff, where the restaurant was closed, but I just trained them into the kitchen, and I was able to take servers who didn't have a job that we were concerned about, and getting them trained to get them 40 hours a week, fully back on the benefits, staying with the company. And so we were even more prepared when we did reopen. And it was such a defining moment for me to think through, like, oh my gosh, like I am so blessed that I've had the journey that's gotten me here, and being
Yeah.
able to make those decisions to prepare for it. It was a great time. It was a lot of work, but it was a great time.
Amazing. Amazing. James, maybe something or you?
Yeah, something a little bit similar.
Yeah.
In New Orleans, it's all about hospitality, citywide conventions. We had one that was 18,000 people. They wanted to do an off-premise event at the Superdome in the Champion Square, which is right next door.
Yeah.
They didn't want to put all their eggs in one basket with one caterer, so they split it up. So we were chosen to do the Champion Square event for 8,000 people. And I've never done anything quite that big. But through a lot of hard work and coordination with our culinary team and events team, we were able to pull off a fantastic event. It was one of our first $1 million days in food and beverage, and it was pretty exciting to be able to be part of that and kind of guide the way. Obviously, with all the insight from previous experiences in doing smaller events, but you learn that the big ones aren't as scary as they are. You just cut them down and make them smaller, right? And so instead of one big event for 8,000, you may have 8,000 person things. But I think another milestone or milestones in my career that kind of make me feel good about what my career has been like is when I see individuals I've worked with grow into higher positions, right?
Yeah.
I had an individual that started with me as an exec steward as well, and now he's a vice president of operations at a hotel company. I've had a J1 intern that started, through the restaurants, and now he is a director of food and beverage at one of our Hyatts in the country. So, it makes me feel good inside that what I've done through the career and have been able to help guide and coach and teach individuals to grow into other positions as well. So whatever I hear, somebody growing into a position, it makes me feel good as well as far as a milestone goes.
I know. Wonderful. Yeah. I mean, that grow, and from what you both are saying, everything is about learning, okay, and being open, to learn on daily basis throughout your career. And talking about learning, would you say, or at least could you maybe share a sentence of wisdom in terms of an advice to a young professional who would like to enter and build an international hospitality career? What will be your sentence, your magic sentence, let's put this way, as a mentoring sentence almost?
Jump in. What I mean by that is, don't wait to finish, the education as you're going through college. If you're able to get a position in the industry, whether it's restaurants or hotels, at least put your foot in the water to see how it is. You may find it's not for you. But hopefully it is, and at least you get exposed to some of that stuff while you're going through college, and hopefully you can put the two together to make a lot of sense. As you're learning, you're also doing, and it's like, wow, it makes sense now. So
excellent. Thank you. Ryan, what about yours?
Ask smartly would be that one. Ask smartly. If you have the ability, ask a question and ask the question, ask the next question. But whenever you're asking smartly, I always encourage people to ask questions and learn from that. If I know that I walked in today, I ask one question, I learned something a little bit more, and I can apply it a little bit better, and I can continue my growth. If I know I do that for my 365 days in that year, I'm going to look at myself in the mirror after a year like, I asked a lot of questions, but man, I learned even more answers, and that's going to get me even more prepared to do that. And when you're international, you would just embrace the culture and ask questions about the culture as well. That is a huge part, especially when you're looking at it international. You will feel a little different or out of place. I know I stood out like a sore thumb when I was living in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing. That is a good thing, and embrace it and just ask smartly, and you never know what could be at the end of that question.
Love it. Thank you so much. And potentially, thank you, James, and so on. But from an HR perspective, would you have also, Nicola, a sentence of wisdom, in terms of, an advice for our audience and young professionals?
Yeah, I think seeing the people that do the best, luxury is a state of mind. If you can create that experience for every guest interaction and for your coworkers,
Yeah.
and every day that you come to work, and just be proud to be here and have fun with the guest, and create a luxury experience just in your interaction. It doesn't mean you have the nicest hotel, doesn't mean you have the nicest amenities. It means you're creating the best experience, and you're going to go as far as you want. We love to promote people, not just from within, but if you leave this program and you apply somewhere else in the world, like we discussed on our last call, we will reach out to them for you. We're committed to your growth and to helping you find the next job if we can. So just remember, keep that luxury as a mindset idea, and you can turn every guest experience into the best one.
Oh man, absolutely lovely. Thank you so much, for sharing that good words. Those good words. So now something slightly more related to employers and about J1 programs, which again are defined and is a cultural exchange. So there is a cultural component, behind this professional experience that a young professional will embark in the US with you guys. But as an employer, what inspired you to become a host employer and to, again, through diversity, bringing, fresh talents, to your property and in New Orleans, and so on. What values do you think it brings, to your team and to the industry? And I will say mainly also team, because it's a teamwork at the end.
For our hotel here, it started back in 2011. The hotel was closed for 5 years from Hurricane Katrina. So,
Yeah,
their ownership was finally able to get funding to rebuild, remodel. So we were faced with, opening a convention hotel, 1,200 room property, 200,000 square feet of banquet space, needing, 400 or 500 associates. Where are we going to find them all? So,
yeah,
we were exposed to the J1 program. And so we supported the local aspect of employment with the J1 program, and quickly we found that it was a great benefit for the hotel. Not only did it bring qualified individuals in to help support the operation, but it also
yeah,
brought in that wealth of knowledge, that diversity of thinking, of how to do things, to be able to run a high volume, high paced hotel like ours. And over the years since 2011, we peaked at over 100 interns at some point, just, because it was such a great opportunity to run the hotel,
yeah.
with that diversity and wealth of knowledge. So.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Yes. Um, and I don't know if James, you want to share something or you want to, aim for the other question potentially. Yeah.
Other
Yeah, no,
question, the value. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Ryan.
Well, I mean, um, the other question I wanted to ask, and this one, James, is for you actually. What qualities do you value most when you develop a young talent or a new coworker within your team? We talked about motivation, enthusiasm, professionalism, and so on. But what qualities do you really value in a new talent?
I think first and foremost, that passion for care, that passion for service.
Yeah.
We're in the hospitality business, here to serve and take care of others. And if you don't have
Mhm.
that passion for that, it's tough to make it happen, right? Obviously dependability and accountabilities are all important with that. Um, but I think forward thinking is also important. For young individuals that want to grow as well, forward thinking as far as, you know, you take every situation you're in and understand, where you're at, where it can go to enhance that connection and that opportunity for the guest. Um, you've got to learn on the move, for lack of better words. Whether it's learning what, or observing others as well, just to understand, those are qualities I want to take on that I see other leaders doing, or maybe that's not the right approach to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But really having that passion, that care, wanting to make a difference and connection with our guests, I think is truly important.
Right. Ryan, are you sharing the same feeling or?
yeah, very very much so. I think one thing, it's there's a saying a long time ago or wherever I come from. It's very hard to be a chief if you don't know how to be an Indian. And I think that is, and I know that I am a perfect example of when I was an intern. I knew I wanted to be a chief. I wanted to be in charge. I wanted to be a leader. I want to be the general manager, the director, the fill in the title. But I've more and more and more throughout my career, I've realized that I could have learned a little bit more doing something earlier on in my career that would have prepared me so much more for that next step. So really having that quality of saying, I want to become an expert at the front office, then an expert through controlling the rooms, and an expert through certain things that is very much that entry level role, and taking that ownership and dedication to it with a heart of service, I believe is really the quality that I'll be looking for, always for any potential new person that comes onto our team.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing again. And which will lead again to another question, because, hospitality and guest experience is a daily challenge. Okay. We want to strive for the best. We want to bring, the best memorable experience for our guests. And in terms of those challenges that candidates could potentially expect during their J1 program with you. Uh, what would be those challenges, from your perspective, and how could they better prepare to overcome them?
I think coming into it with a mindset of I don't know everything. That is going to be a huge mindset. I don't know everything about the hotel, about the city,
Mm,
about America maybe, and about my role in general. But I believe that the most successful J1s that we have had at our hotel and that I've worked with in my career have been the ones that have embraced the fact that they don't know, but embrace the fact that they want to continue to grow. And
yeah.
if you're continuing to grow and you're gonna say, all right, I don't know, I'm gonna make a mistake. Perfect. I'm happy when people make mistakes. That's a good thing because you have the ability to learn from that and not getting hung up on the fact that, oh, I feel a little out of place, or oh, I don't quite know this answer, as opposed to I want to find a way to feel at place. I want to find a way to get that answer. And then you
Mm.
really have that ability to ask a great question and you'll be able to overcome almost any challenge that could come across you during your experience as a J1.
Wonderful. James, you
And,
have
and maybe just to add on that, obviously you're coming to, like Ryan said, a new city, a new country, a new
yeah,
hotel. Try to find that buddy, right? I know you have a buddy system within
yeah.
HRC. And again, there's quite a few J1 interns throughout the city and not just with Hyatt. But finding those buddies to be able to connect with, I know there's apartments in the city that have a lot of interns staying in them, right? And so most, as they finish their program, the new J1's interns come in as well. And it's just, I think it's, being open to connect. The great thing for us is we have orientation the first couple days that you start with us, and utilizing that orientation and those individuals within the orientation to kind of be your buddy to start with, right? That you're both starting on a journey within Hyatt, and it's truly being open and receptive to change, and connecting with somebody that you can, just be that point person for you to
Right.
help you along the way as well.
No, absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And um, when a candidate embark into a J1 program, he will, through the learning, ultimately shape their career, or at least the growth or the beginning of their career, but also their perspective. Do you think this is something that, is like a 360, learning and development, approach?
Yeah,
Uh,
I do. I mean, I think one of those things that as far as your perspective, um, I would say look at our first speaker who started 32 years ago with HRC.
Yeah,
I think that's a perfect example of someone that probably did not even know where Atlanta was
yeah.
prior to going to Atlanta, and that is an experience. 32, I mean, and you can feel the energy and the warmth from that experience. And going internationally, I can tell you, I didn't know what island I was moving to. I just knew I was moving to an island in the Bahamas. I don't know
Okay.
these. And I still can't believe that the busiest one is the smallest one. But I think that is something that a perspective in life on being able to work outside of what you're comfortable with and being able to contribute into a country that you might not be familiar with is going to drastically change. And I can say my time internationally, my time as an intern, I can measure my life as a before this moment and after.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. I mean, just being in the program one is benefit amongst, myself. I wish I had a chance to go international and work in other hotels because they always seem fancier and look more luxurious than the ones you're in, right? But you
Luxury is
know,
a mindset.
exactly.
Very true.
But embracing the different abilities to work in different types of hotels, right? Hyatt
Yeah.
has 32, I believe, brands and different lifestyles and classics and big box and all that, those kind of things, right? And you're going to learn through time which ones maybe you excel better at, right? Some people do a phenomenal job in luxury, and maybe in a convention hotel, maybe it's not as effective. But I think truly opening yourself to learn and grow wherever you may be in whatever position you're in is going to help you in your career in the long run. As Ryan said, he started in food and beverage, now is in rooms. A lot of people create their career path within a hotel in a number of different ways. And I think that's the other benefit of being in hospitality. It's not just food and beverage and rooms. It's accounting, it's engineering, it's culinary. There's all kind of different ways you can create your career within hospitality, and that's the other unique part about hospitality. It's not a desk job 9 to 5. It's fun stuff every single day.
Yeah. And as you were saying, James, you almost, as I could, understood, that you regretted a little bit you couldn't, maybe experience, working outside of the US or maybe more internationally and so on, which will lead, to my last question before we open the floor to all the attendants and so on. Would you consider, that a candidate with international experience will stand out more, to another? And if so, in what aspects? Because you didn't travel, but you seem, fairly appointed, in your business, and you know what you're talking about. So, but on the international aspect and perspective, what will make, a candidate, maybe slightly standing out more from another one?
Well, I think just the aspect that you worked in multiple countries potentially it gives you that benefit because you've been able to see how hotels operate in different parts of the world, right?
Yeah.
As much as Hyatt as a company, we have regencies and all around the world. They're run slightly different based on that culture, based on that area that they're in. So yeah, you definitely have a one up on others because that diversity that you've been able to be exposed to, I guess, is a great way to put it.
Yeah, absolutely. For you, Ryan, any maybe add on to that, or?
No, I think that diversity is huge.
Yeah.
Other mothers have smart sons and daughters. And so maybe depending on how you're brought up, you might learn something, and how a country is could be completely different. But knowing
Yeah.
that you can learn from them and you can continue to enhance what you have inside of yourself, yeah, that diversity is huge.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. Which ends, to all those questions. And thank you, and allow me, to pick up your brain, on important stuff, very important. Now it's a question of opening the floor for Q&A with our dear audience that is joining us today. And I see here in the chat we do have lots of questions, okay, which we can go through all of them if you don't mind. We will start with the first question, from Makbul, who's asking, what are the biggest operation challenges current faced by your team and how you overcome?
The biggest
That's a very
operational.
Yeah. What are the biggest operations or operational challenges current faced by your team and how you overcome them? That's a very specific question.
Yeah, I'd say, our dynamics of our hotel is very interesting. And I think that's going to be operationally is going to be how can we demonstrate an agile mindset in responding to what we are experiencing at the hotel. I'd say a case in point would be on Monday morning when I woke up, this hotel was full of a religious convention that had 5,000 people in the hotel, and they were all part of a religious group that was here for a retreat for an entire weekend, where above my office people were chanting and going through an entire experience for the entirety of the weekend. And as I came and ended my day yesterday, I had 1,000 rooms in the hotel that were here predominantly just because they were lawyers and it was a convention meeting, And how do us as hoteliers know in a convention hotel, how can we shift what we are doing for 5,000 religious group, 1,000 business group, and how are we
Yeah.
shifting and moving, knowing that every single day changes? It changes 10,000 times, maybe within an hour at times. It feels like between Monday morning and Tuesday night, we were a completely different hotel in the exact same location.
Wow. That requires a lot of agility, as we say,
Yes.
and so on, and teamwork. Big time. I mean, like this is not done by just one man.
No.
So impressive, impressive. Another question coming, from Garrett Graham, who's kindly asking something more related to J1 candidates. Do you, within Hyatt, organize any cultural activities, with your J1, participants and candidates?
Yeah,
Nick,
we
you want to
do.
cover this?
Yeah,
Yep.
Nick. Yeah, Nick would probably be the
Nick?
best one
Oh,
for
yeah,
it.
sorry. That's maybe more HR. Sorry, my
No,
No,
yeah,
that's good.
I'd love to speak to that. For cultural stuff, we celebrate a lot of kind of important holidays and milestones, but a lot of times it brings in the local culture into it. Um, One of our service initiatives right now is to bring in gumbo, which is a common cuisine here, and we use that. But we also um, really go out into the neighborhood with our diversity groups if we can and do things or we'll celebrate those activities maybe in the neighborhood. We do suggest that you go out when you arrive here. We make sure that the you are given a bunch of stuff to go do and see that's affordable. That way we help you explore the city and whatnot. I'm hoping I'm answering this correctly. I'm trying to see the actual. I think I'm in the wrong Q. I need to be in Q&A, correct? Um, uh-oh. Um, but yeah, we definitely also try to bring in culture from other people within the
Mhm.
hotel to share our shared experiences and our different experiences and stuff like that.
Right.
So I mean, definitely always a thought process in our minds and something we want to integrate.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you
We
for the
also take
answer.
we also take the input from our interns as far as what they may want to do and see how we can accommodate that as well.
Yeah, one of the yeah, whatever you'd like to do or whatever resources you need, we're always here to kind of help guide and supplement and give that to you as far as like experiences or whatever happens within the hotel itself.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
do in our hotel, we do have a dedicated associate in human resources that is focused on our interns. Maggie Abbey was previously an intern as well, so she kind of understands what our interns go through and being in a whole new city and country, and so she's able to help connect with individuals too and see what the needs are and maybe expand that based on the number that have that desire or want to learn.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. And another maybe a bit broader question, which you have maybe answered, in many ways during the presentation, but I still need to ask. And the question coming from Dustin, asking what is the most important skill for success in hospitality today?
I think what James said, jump in, and I said, ask smartly. I think taking that initiative and understanding that luxury is absolutely a mindset. I think you take the three of us and owning that, just making sure that you're going to have an open mind on I'm going to try something new. And that open mind, and I want to learn from what I'm doing, is going to be something that's going to set you up for success in anything that you do, most importantly in hospitality.
Right.
I think
Yeah,
too, you gotta like interacting with people and you gotta talk to people, right? You're networking
Yeah.
not just with your colleagues and your superiors, but also with the guests and having a great time with them. So you gotta be a little brave. If you're shy, you gotta kind of slowly but surely come out of your shell
Mhm.
and make sure you learn to really talk to the guests and learn what they want so you can make the experience dedicated to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And a
Yeah,
question
Will.
based on that, sorry, a question based on that coming, for me, I mean, I always question myself, do you guys feel, that potentially um, emotional intelligence is a skill? And
I would say
Absolutely.
is it,
yes.
yeah,
Yes.
okay. And
I
I would
think
say,
it could be learned and um, perfected for sure,
yeah,
but you gotta start doing the work and you gotta get out there. And it's
yeah,
scary going to another country and being
yeah,
in a new place, and and that's understandable. But the sooner you start meeting people and interacting and getting a little braver and stuff like that, the sooner you'll learn this really important part of the networking aspect of it all. So
great,
sorry.
great,
Well,
great.
I think part of that is the willingness to learn, but also allowing yourself to be coached is important.
Hmm.
As we said, there's multiple ways to set a table, right? The forks go here, the spoons go here, but you know what? As long as that table is all set the same,
Yep,
it's
yep,
not as a huge deal as some people may think. So it's
consistency.
different. Consistency is important. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for that. And I have a very specific question, which is more like guest relation department oriented. So I guess that's for you, Ryan. Question from Yun Sang, who's asking, what qualities do you value most in trainees applying for a position as guest relation within the front of house rooms division department?
The qualities is going to be your relatability and your bravery. I think being able to relate to a guest. And if you're going for a training in this role, I think going to Nick's comment on bravery is spot on, and be wanting to take the initiative and learning. But also in the front of house, and I mean, and that is really, I know I'm rooms and James is food and beverage. We're both in the industry of a guest has an expectation, there's going to be a service interaction, and we are going to live up to the expectation that that guest has, and they're going to leave that interaction in a
Yeah,
place on how they're going to feel. We're doing the same thing in a different way. And so I'm sure that's going to be very similar for James as well. But one to know that they can take that time and enjoying people, like Nick said, and also just taking the time to learn and to have that bravery and initiative.
no. Wonderful, thank you. And I will, there is tons and tons of questions, really. I mean, like, thank you very much, all of you, and I will just pick maybe a last one, which I think we could potentially nicely close this Q&A session. Actually, an amazing question I really like. It's about the journey and the learning. And Alisa is kindly asking, would you say a person starting late in life in the career of hospitality will still be given the same opportunities needed to make a career? I would say, and I'm sure your answer, is definitely with Hyatt, okay? But overall, is it something you believe, that there is, no age, no time, for entering, our beautiful hospitality industry?
Yes, you can start at any point. I want to one story I get to share on this one, and then I'll let you both go because I'm passionate about this.
Yeah,
I interviewed someone when I was in Florida, and this person had not been in the working industry for 8.5 years, as she had focused on being growing her household and growing her children, and she had 5 children. Laurice recently reached out to me, said, "Hey, I'm at my second assistant general manager job, and I'm getting ready to be a general manager of a Hyatt Place hotel." This person hadn't worked for 7 years and was focusing on the household first. And now Laurice, who is a dear, close friend of mine, is getting ready to be a general manager of a Hyatt Place hotel. So, there's if you're passionate about it, the passion will find you.
I love it. Thank you so much. James, what your
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, it's all about the passion for service, no matter what stage of your career you're in. yeah, I was with Hyatt for 34 years, but I know a lot of individuals that have, gone to different experiences with different companies, and some eventually come back to Hyatt because they feel it's more, personable and feel more cared for with Hyatt. But you during that career or during that journey, you have to have fun. Obviously it's serious as far as a career goes, but you have to have fun going through it. Otherwise, it just becomes a day-to-day job, and that's not what hospitality is all about. It's truly about taking care of those individuals. But it is a journey. It's a fun journey, and you can start it whenever you want.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Well, thank you very much, really, James, for your time, for your dedication, and for all the insights, and mainly for sharing your passion. Really, this is, and we can feel it. Believe me. So here, I mentioned here, that if on that slide, if any of the audience, someone in the audience would like to share some thoughts, or have more questions, and so on, you can always definitely share your thoughts about this event, and again, asking as many questions as you want, and someone from HRC will definitely be able to answer any of those. So that's pretty much, I would say, the end of the session. Again, if for those within the audience didn't send their application up front and would like to express today a truly interest to join the Hyatt family in New Orleans, then you have the QR code just down there that you can scan, which will redirect you to our website, and you can upload your CV and get reached out, by one of us, and potentially enjoying the journey with Hyatt Regency. So again, I would like to thank all of you, Nicholas, James, Ryan, for your time being with us. Your time with us right now is not finished, because as we know, there is a couple of interviews that will take place after this talk show. But really, you have expressed everything what we love at HRC. You expressed learning, you expressed culture, you expressed hospitality mainly. And really, thank you for all that. This is truly amazing for us, for the audience, and for the future talents. So again, I appreciate for your time, and maybe a last word or something you would like to share.
Look forward to seeing you all in New Orleans.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
be brave. Be brave. It's worth it. Be brave.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you again, everybody. And I just want to show on the next slide, if you can move on, there is the list of the candidates that have been pre-scheduled for interviews with both James and Ryan. Potentially, maybe Nicola will take on some of them. So here is the schedule. Please do respect the schedule as written on the slide. You should have been provided with a separated links to another Teams room where you will be having those face-to-face interviews with James, Ryan, or Nicholas. So again, thank you for trying, to make your
Matt,
yeah.
sorry, just to jump in a little bit. Can we take a picture all together before
Yes.
we go
Hey.
separate ways?
Yes, of course, of course. So let's take
Perfect.
a group picture, and maybe stop sharing the
Yes.
slide, and we are good. Yes, here we go. Wonderful.
Perfect. I'm gonna count from 1 to 3, and we're gonna take a screenshot. So if
Okay.
everyone wants to turn on their camera, we're giving like a couple of minutes for you guys to turn on your cameras. Awesome. I see beautiful
We go.
faces. Okay, thank you. I'll wait for a couple more
Here
seconds.
we go, Steven. We have Boysen,
Awesome.
Luca. Great.
Okay. All right. So let's take a picture in 1, 2, 3. Everyone say New Orleans, okay? So
Yes, let's do that. Yeah.
1, 2, 3. New
New
Orleans.
New
Orleans.
Orleans.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much. And for Ryan and James, we're gonna wait for you in the other room after this. We created a separate room for your interview. And for the candidates, again, if you are already invited for an interview, please do get prepared and make sure that you go to the right link, okay? Based on your department. If you want to go for F&B, you go for the F&B room, and then if you go for rooms division, you go for the for the rooms division room. Okay, all right. I think that's all, Matt. Do you have
Thank
anything
you.
else?
No, no, no. Just to finish, only long life to hospitality, and thank you, for all being here. Thank you. That's been amazing.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.